Hello everyone, we're here with our 42nd best move of all time. We're still in our series of the 50 greatest moves in chess history. And this time we're looking at a game between Polugaevsky and Nezhmetdinov, from 1958. I probably messed those names up as I usually do, so they will be in the video notes if you want to check them out later. So as usual, we're into the game, seeing what's happening. The pieces will stop when the key move is about to pop up. So this is black attacking on the king side here. Looks like it's even material, pretty good position. The white king is in the middle of the board. Black obviously wants to hunt down that king, and the pieces have stopped moving, which means we are at the key position. So as usual, if you have a guess as to what the move is, write it in the comments. And pause the game if you want some more time to analyze. What does black do here that earns him spot number 42? Okay, let's take a look and see. Here we go. The move is rook takes on f4. What an amazing move. You can see the evaluation bar. It's like, that's an okay. It moves up. Black was already winning, but it actually did move up just a teeny bit more after this move. So we will examine what happened in the game, and then we'll go back and look and see what some of the other options might have been. So, well, before we look at what actually happened in the game, we'll talk about what the threat is here, right? The obvious threat is that this rook is sort of blocking this bishop, but that means it's a discovered check when the rook moves out of the way. Also key to notice is that this rook is attacking the queen, so the queen is being threatened. This knight is more than ready and willing to jump into the action, and this knight is also ready. This rook is the only piece that black has that's not actively involved in the fight, but in very short order can get itself involved in the game. So in this position in the game, white says, you got to take the free queen, right? Got to take the queen. Okay, so maybe he saw what was coming, maybe he didn't. He wanted to see how it all played out. So he takes the queen, black check with the rook, and with the bishop, a double check, always powerful because that means the king absolutely has to move. So the king goes to d4, and now black, you can sort of picture him calculating, figuring out whether he can hunt this king down. So normally in a position like this, you have to do a check to sort of, keep the attack going. But in this case, black is able to do this quiet bishop to g7 move, just setting up another discovered attack, because when this knight, a discovered check, because when this knight moves out of the way, the bishop, oopsie, that's a bad diagonal. The bishop will hit the king. So in this position, that's the only move in this line that I do not fully understand. I would think, in this position, you want to do something else. I don't know. I'm not really sure what else there is to do. Maybe that's the problem, right? Because you can't, your queen can't really get in the action. This bishop can't help. This bishop can't help. Maybe something like that would be the only thing I could think of, but that tells you it's mate in two. So that's not a better move. Mate in two. Yeah, so maybe that's the problem, is that there's just not a lot of there's nothing good to do here, right? So in the game, for whatever reason, white pushes a4. Maybe he couldn't find anything better either. So you see the evaluation bar go from black winning by 2 to winning by 5. So now black check. En passant takes it. And then another move where that's not a check, which is just so amazing that, again, black is at this point sacrificed his queen, and he's not even bothering to make sure every move is a check, because he could have gone knight to c6, but as you can see from the bar, it's actually mate in 6. So if he saw all of this, he doesn't need to check if you can mate him without checking. So the follow-up is the bishop to d3, which doesn't really stop much. Again, another take without a check from the knight, but there is a check from the bishop, that discovered check we saw earlier. The king has to move. Check. Takes and takes back. Check again. Mate in 3 now. The king runs over to b5. Check. Mate in 2. Check. And in this position, with the mate in 1, white goes ahead and resigns. The follow-up here would be what? The only legal move for the king to make is to go to a6. And then a nasty checkmate, which I personally like a lot, is when you bring the rook and the pawn and the knight work together for checkmate. So instead of getting checkmated, white just resigned a move before that. And so now let's go back and quickly see if we can examine what some of the other options white had other than taking the queen. So the most obvious option to look at is what would have happened if, instead of taking the queen, white would have decided to take the rook. Let's say he takes the rook with the pawn. You see the evaluation bar go up to 4.6. What's the idea here? I think bishop comes crashing in. Yeah, the bishop comes crashing in to f4 check. Knight takes. And now the very nasty knight check on c2. And where does that king go? Can't go here, or here, or here, or here, or here, or here. That's a problem. So when your king can't go anywhere, but you have to get out of the check, what do? Queen would have to take knight. The queen slides over, picks up the other queen, and now black has knight, rook, and a queen versus 4 pieces, but +3 material-wise, +5.5 on the evaluation bar. So a winning game for black. And let's see here. So instead of taking the queen, let's say that white instead took with the knight, took that rook. The follow-up here, is it similar? Let's see, bishop takes. Yeah, it's similar. So then now pawn takes. Oh, yeah, it's the same thing. So whether the knight takes or the pawn takes, you end up with this knight check that can only be stopped by sacrificing your queen. And is there anything else really obvious to do here after rook sack? Let's see. So takes, yeah, and then the king doesn't really have anywhere else to go. So that's why that rook sack was such a powerful move, is that even though white has pieces that are close to the king and seem like maybe they could help, they're just useless in this position where, this rook is out of play. These bishops, are on a great diagonal for attacking. Like they're perfectly placed for an attack, but they need to be on defense, and they're in the wrong spot with these 2 knights in the hunt. So that was our 42nd greatest move of all time, rook takes on f4. If you like that video, then like and subscribe, and check out some of our other videos in this series. Again, we're going all the way through the top 50 moves of all time on our way to #1. And those videos will be down over here. Okay, thanks for watching.